Hola Colchoneros, this is me, Alex, and today, we have a very, I would say, very busy council to be honest, because we have Jeremy from the Atleti podcast, and then Ricky is joining us for the first time as well. Welcome, Ricky. Welcome to Atleti Fanatics. And so this is literally a collaborator now, like perfect, the Atleti podcast and the Atleti Fanatics, perfect collaboration. So
Love it.
Thanks for having
today
me.
we so today we're gonna talk about like each and every player, how their season went, and whether we should keep them or sell them. I mean, like basically, like every day it's like a new news is coming. Like there's a new here we go every day for Atletico de Madrid, and like we're not recovered from the past one, and like still next day there comes a new one. So pretty exciting stuff going on in Atletico de Madrid right now. But let's just start with the goalkeepers right now. So we're gonna start with Jan Oblak. So again, Jan Oblak has won his sixth Zamora Trophy. Basically, the legend, and I think like he's proven to be like the best goalkeeper in Spanish league as well. But the thing is, right now is like Jan Oblak is getting old. He's already in his 30s. So like guys, whether we should like keep him for like next 2 3 years, or like we should look for replacement already. What do you guys think? I'll start with Ricky actually. So like since it's his first time.
If you're sitting in the stands, keep him. If you're in the offices, you want to sell him because he's a very expensive player from the business point of view. But I would say from the fans' point of view, I really don't give a damn about the finances of the team. I want the team to win, and you get the best options having the six-time Zamora as your goalkeeper, and it doesn't get more solid than that. I don't see any serious signs of aging. There have been dips in his career, but I think that he's still a solid asset, and I would say one of the three most recognizable names on the squad right now. So for me, it's a definite keep.
True, true. Jeremy, what do you think?
Oh, I'd keep him. To Ricky's point about the dips, after our league title win in 2021, he had pretty down year in 21-22. I think the neck injury the following year kind of knocked him out of contention for the last couple of months. And then 23-24, I mean, no one in defense played well. It was just a really kind of a disastrous season at the back. This season, though, All Black saves had us in title contention basically until March. He was a vital part of that push for the title in so much as we were contending for it until March. He's gotten a lot better with the ball at his feet. That's a major credit to him. I actually asked him about that when he did a press conference for ESPN. I was working at Marca at the time, and I asked him about I guess improving as a sweeper keeper and improving with the ball at his feet. And he told me he feels a lot more comfortable with it. He told me that he's happy to do whatever the coach tells him to do, and it's something that he's proud of in terms of improving in that facet. So at 32 years old and with a pretty high salary, he is the team's top earner. You do have to start considering what the future looks like. It is a bit of a bummer that we missed out on Joan Garcia. Just a crazy move for him to join Barcelona from Espanyol. Insane. But yeah, there will come a time when Oblak needs to leave. I don't see that in the next year or two, though. I would definitely keep him.
Okay.
Saint Kicks, your views on Jan Oblak?
Um, I agree with both what Ricky and Jeremy said in terms of Oblak being one of the best. I think when you see his general improvements on the ball, like things that he's been one of the best shot stoppers for the past, at least the past 10 years. And in my eyes, one of the best shot stoppers I've ever seen. So it's like you get to see one of the best ever keepers in your team, and then you hear in concert like you, oh well, he has a lot of salaries. Like I feel like he's earned it with six tomorrows and possibly seven next season if we actually get the defensive signings. But um, what I see from Oblak is one of the most risk averse keepers in terms of being able to minimize threats and allow for a level of safety in a backline that I haven't felt. I don't feel like a lot of other teams have the same kind of comfort with. When you look at even his passing, he as soon as he feels like he's under too much pressure, straight out clearance. As soon as he feels like things don't make sense, you'll see him like shouting down at the center backs to get themselves back into the mindset of getting ready and being focused on these things. So I don't see any reason to get rid of Oblak. I don't think there's any name that really points out to me besides, I guess, maybe Juan Garcia, who was interesting in that sense, maybe Mabadashvili. But even then, I still think Oblak was better than them, and I don't think there's anybody who really you can really sign right now who's on his level. Yeah, I don't think there's really another keeper on the market that you could even replace Oblak with right now. So I don't see a reason to sell him. I think he's earned every right for what he has right now.
All right, let's go for our second choice goalkeeper, which is again Juan Musso. Juan Musso. I mean, like he had like good decent games. I would say like not really like very awful performance as well, but I would say like not really a good performance as well. We signed him this summer, obviously before the Club World Cup, which was again one of the signings for the Club World Cup. And did we like made like a good deal, or like should we like go for like another keeper? For example, like we should get another keeper to be the successor of Jan Oblak in the future. So in that regards, like Juan Musso coming to Atletico Madrid, is it a good deal or not? We'll start with again with Ricky.
Yeah, it seems like a good deal at the because it's priced right. It depends a little bit on the price tag. You want an affordable goalkeeper that um, is happy with the role they're going to play. You know they're going to have to be settled with taking over for Jan Oblak if that is necessary. But under normal circumstances, we're going to see very little of him. In fact, I think we've only seen him twice over the course of 3 or 4 months, if I'm not mistaken. And I would say that Musso is a decent player, very similar in age to Oblak, not as accomplished, but I think he's a good substitute. He fits into the dressing room perfectly well because of his nationality, being good friends with many of the players on the squad. Perfect fit for that role that can always be difficult to fill with a player willing to fulfill that role.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I think Alex rose again. he was looking very like intensely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
That's what it
that's
was.
what
He was
happened.
frozen.
Let's just go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Musso's fine. Probably the best backup that Atletico have had for Oblak since Moya. I was a big fan of the Antonio Adan signing back in the day, but Adan was just not very good here. Loved him at Betis.
You were a fan of Antonio Dan?
Yeah, I liked him at Betis.
Dang.
He was not great in
Dang.
Sporting.
You dig a little bit deeper into the history, and you know he's a Madridista at the beginning of the career. So yeah, can't get over that.
Yeah.
It's just too much of a burden for me.
But Musso was fine, reliable enough when called upon. He took some criticism during the cup semifinal against Barcelona, which he shipped 5 goals, not a great look. But again, Atletico did not defend well at all in that tie. And yeah, pretty good reflexes, pretty good distribution, solid number 2. Would definitely keep him for the next year or two. But it will be very interesting to see how Atletico go about replacing Oblak.
All right, yes, St. Keeks, your thoughts on Juan Musso?
Great second keeper. I think he's done what we've needed for him in terms of what whenever he's played. Like he played the first match day, I believe it was, at the start because Oblak had like an illness or something. And
Athletic Bilbao, yeah.
Yeah. So he has some La Liga games, which is something I didn't expect. I thought he was only playing the Copa, maybe in the Champions League if we had enough points in the 3 league phase. So he's good. I think what he does is good. I think his distribution is better than Oblak, but not to such an insane degree that you'd be like, oh, well, we'll have to put in Musso. But I think he gives some fair competition to Oblak in a sense that we haven't really had in quite some years, I think, really, between the keepers. I think for what he has come for, the price points is kind of nice. So there's not really anything too much to complain about. He's Argentinian. He works out with everybody. He, probably does the barbecues with the rest of them. Not much to complain about. Wiki.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, which is defenders, and so we're gonna start with the right back position. So Nahuel Molina. So this season he's been used as a backup to Marcus Llorente, and I think, like, I don't know what to say about Molina actually. So like there were reports coming that like Atleti won't accept anything less than 30 million, and obviously like some fans are really angry about him. Like they don't want him at the club. They just want to get rid of him. And then again, like if we get rid of him, then our choice to replace him is Jesus Arezzo from Osasuna, which I think like it's better to keep him instead. You know, like if you look at the backup, another backup option. So what do you guys think about the Molina situation right now? Like, should we keep him? Should we sell him? Or we should actually like keep him as a backup for Marcus Llorente as well? Again, so we're gonna start with Ricky as well.
You don't know what to say about Molina. I do. He's a huge disappointment. I couldn't. I mean, I'm willing to take him to wherever they want to sell him. I'll drive him there, fly him there. Yeah, chaperone him there. He's just been a huge disappointment because you have a World Cup winning caliber player that is playing subpar level in La Liga. He can't even compete against mid level teams effectively. I think that he should have been able to earn the starting role. He hasn't earned the starting role. He hasn't contributed significantly to the team, and I'm really past waiting for him to come back from whatever situation he's gone through personally. I think he's had a hard time adapting. Not everyone can live up to the responsibility of playing top tier football, and I think that's just the case. He does seem to feel protected enough within the scheme of the Argentinian national team, but when he plays for Atletico, we're seeing a different player, and it just doesn't make the cut for me.
But again, I mean, like he had his moments as well, like PSG that cross against Getafe, and then last season again I think like he was pretty good. But okay, I mean Ricky is pretty hard on him right now. But okay,
Last season, I can't defend last
Jeremy,
season.
what do you think?
Sell, 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 sell. Molina is just he's mid. He's just average. He can't cross. He can't really defend. Positionally, he's a bit of a mess. He's just average in terms of aerial duels, ball carrying. The only really good quality he has is his progressive passing. Passes that like significantly they get the team significantly closer to goal. He's pretty good at that, but you can find a lot of players who do what he does. If Atletico get an offer for like 20 million for him, which is just about making their money back from Udinese, sell. I'm not entirely convinced on Edeso as his replacement, but he is cheap. His release clause is 12 million. He's fine. I don't think he's anything special. Llorente is the first choice right back anyway. So yeah, if there's a decent offer that comes in from for Molina, thank you, but see ya.
Saint Kicks, what about your thoughts?
I think this is one. This is one of the few ones where I'll actually be a little controversial. I think Molina's a weird case for me because I watched him at Udinese for about the same 2 years that he popped out, and I thought he was really good for the time, right? So he came in, was kind of mediocre for about the first few months, went to World Cup, did really well in the World Cup for Argentina, came back, had an insane 6 months for us, and then he kind of fizzled out a bit at the start of the season, and it had a horrid last set of months for Atletico. And I felt bad trying to defend him because I was like, I know he could be better than this, but I don't know what happened to him mentally, but it just wasn't happening. And this season, he's a bit more up and down. He's had some good moments, as you mentioned, with the PSG game, the cross for Solot against Barcelona, the cross for Solot again against Getafe. He's had some good moments. He's had some, standout situations, but I can't really deny the fact that he's been kind of a little when it comes to defending. He doesn't really separate himself properly when certain situations come up. But my counter argument would be he has not had a preseason with Atletico yet. despite the fact that he's been here for 2 seasons. He came in very late into the season, um, when he eventually came after at 22, 23, I believe. And then right after that, he got injured right at the end of the season and just came back straight in. Same thing again. So maybe I would like to see a preseason. Maybe you can get that sort of time where you can properly prep with him, give him some time to properly, get that next level. If you do get an offer for 30 to 35 million or something like that, I'm not gonna hold him back. Like that's a good deal for what Molina is.
35. Wow.
Hey, I saw Liverpool offering. I saw Liverpool offering a lot of money.
Offer
for
me
him, and I was
half.
very
I mean,
confused.
offer me half of that. I'm saying yes.
But on the flip side, I would say if you are going to look at a substitute right back, there are other options besides Arezzo, even other Spanish options. We were in for Ivan Fresneda before. I think we should go back. I know he has Madrid roots, but I think he's one of those right backs who can be differential. He's fast. He's very good defensively. He's really like a incredible presence going forward. I don't know what happened with him and Sporting in terms of why they don't give him a proper chance, but when he has been given a chance, he's been good. So there are options. If you are to sell him,
We're talking about Molina, bro. Molina, yeah. Okay,
sorry.
Molina. Come back to Molina.
But yeah, if you sell him, there are options to replace him. Is my point though. It's like it's not the end of the world if he leaves. I just think I have mixed feelings after seeing Robertson in the news and these other things. I was just like, oh, okay. I'm not sure selling him would be the wisest opinion right now. But I know we got Ruggeri, so whatever. Anyway, move on. I'm talking too much.
Yes, you're going in different paths. Robertson, Fresneda, and like 35. Like, I mean, like, I don't think even Saudi is going to pay 35 for Molina, to be honest. I think like anything like under 30 is like decent money for him. Like you guys said, 25, 20. I think that's pretty optionable. But at 35, I'm like, wow. I mean, like, even Theo Hernandez is going for 25. But anyway, we're going to talk about our main right back now, which is Marcus Llorente. Basically, our Rolls Royce. We can literally use him anywhere on the pitch. I mean, like on the right hand side, midfield, whether the striker as well. Last season, he played some games as a striker as well, which is amazing. I still remember one of his games. I forgot it was a game, Osasuna or Vallecano. I forgot, like where he scored 2 goals within the first
Las
half.
Palmas.
Las Palmas, there you go. And I was like, wow, like, Llorente is literally a blessing to have that kind of a player in a team. But the problem right now is Llorente is hitting and he's going in 30s as well. So, like, how hard it will be to find his replacement, because again, like a player who can play several positions, which is again, it's really hard to find. Like Llorente, like Valverde, it's definitely a keep for sure, because we don't really have a main right back as well. But the question is, like, should we start looking for a replacement for Marcus Llorente? Should we start looking for someone in that position? What do you think, Ricky?
Always plan for the future, but he's a definite staple in the roster. I would keep him. I would play him, and unfortunately, the B team doesn't seem to be developing any players that can turn into replacements. Right now, I can see very few in any area at all in the immediate future. So it is the job of the management to start scouting for a replacement. I don't think it's an urgency, but it's something that we have to deal with in case of injury more than in case of an immediate dip in his career, because he's one of these players that has extraordinary athletic capabilities, and I think he's going to live a long career. I can see him playing deep into his 30s.
Sure. I mean, hopefully so. Hopefully, he's playing in this manner for us, for sure. Because again, like, having Llorente as in midfield or in right back position, like, it really helps a lot. Whether it's defensively, offensively, he's literally there. I mean, like, I remember against Botafogo as well, where everyone was literally sweating in the second half, and Llorente was still running hard, trying to save those counter attacks. So for sure. What do you think, Jeremy, about that one?
Yeah, definitely keep Marcos Llorente. I love Marcos, a true professional, and he's lived kind of a strange career at Atletico. He comes in, he's given Gabby's number 14 shirt, and within 6 months, it's very, very clear that he is not going to be here for very long if you keep him in defensive midfield. So Simeone has worked wonders with him, and Llorente has always been a true professional. He's still in the prime of his career, I think, even though he does turn 31 next season. He has 2 years to go on his contract. So as Ricky says, it's getting to the point where you need to look for a long-term replacement at that position. But I mean, I've got him right here. I love Marcos. So definitely happy to keep him on the squad for next season. I don't think a contract would be.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy goes kissing goodbyes while sleeping, or before going to bed.
I wouldn't even really rule out a renewal for Llorente for a year or two. Knowing how the club is run, knowing how we like to save some cash every now and then.
My biggest issue with Llorente is when he goes full flat earther and those kind of
I was waiting for somebody to talk about
it. I think his politics are bad.
Wacky note on Atletico squad.
Yeah,
so
the chemtrail stuff. Yeah, his wife was doing the chemtrail stuff. Oh,
the sun thing, the fact that he doesn't use sunscreen. I don't know.
The conspiracy stuff is.
It's so funny.
Bad. But it's that kind of crazy gene that makes him play pretty well for us. So, all good. All's well that ends well.
What about you, St. Kicks? Do you have any posters of Marcos Llorente in your room? Or
no. He's a great player, though. I've enjoyed watching Llorente for quite some time. So it's nice that he's at right back right now in terms of being able to be. So, in terms of Marcos Llorente, I think he's always kind of been a player that has been a joy to watch in terms of he's been kind of, it's weird. He's been really good in multiple positions, and he's been really good at right back this season. I think it's a shame that we didn't get to see him in that Nations League when they were having Porro and Mingueza, who I don't think had better season. Although I'd like Mingueza, I don't think either of them had a better season than Llorente. He had probably one of the best seasons in Europe at right back this season. So it's a shame he isn't being rewarded for his things outside of Atletico, but I think Atletico have given him a lot of good times and good chances. There's no reason to let him go. He's been a kind of a rock in that defense. Defensively, he's been great. Offensively, he has been great. Not much to really complain about with Llorente, to be honest. Outside of the extra sporting stuff, outside of football, he's a little weird. But besides that, great guy.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next position. So we sold Savage last season, and we bought Robin Lenormand as his replacement for the right centre back. And Robin Lenormand, for me, I think before his head injury, I think he was having really, really a good time with us, defending well, performing really well as well. After the head injury, I think it was again obviously it'll take time to recover from that position. Even after the injury, he got collided with some players in the league matches as well with that special Peter Cech helmet. And then I think this season I've seen the best of Lenormand with Spain, not with Atleti. At the starting of the season with Atleti, Lenormand was playing really well, but after the injury, he hasn't been the same. But I think for Spain, especially in the Nations League, I think he performed really well with Spain. So what do you guys think about Robin Lenormand? Especially with Cuti Romero rumored to be coming to Atlético de Madrid as well. So should we keep Robin Lenormand as a squad player, or or we should cash on in him? What do you think, Ricky?
He's a keeper, but I think he's condemned himself to being a squad player rather than a starter. And it has to do a little bit with progression. I was comparing while you were talking this season with last season, and there's been no progression whatsoever. You normally don't buy a player on the rise to expect similar results than they had on their previous team, where defense is much more of a priority for Atletico than it was for Real Sociedad. So I would say there's a before and an after that big concussion he had. He's had a sort of relapse in other situations that involved head bumps. I don't know if it can be considered a concussion because the news is never too clear about the medical condition of players in that sense. there isn't an established protocol to inform media about the progress of the player's health. So I would say that he's had moments of the season where he seemed to be performing better, and he definitely has a spot on the roster, but the team should make it a priority to look for an upgrade now that the priorities in other parts of the team seem to have been covered with the three first signings.
For sure, for sure. I mean, if Coutinho Romero comes in, obviously, like I think like he'll end up with a squad player only. But again, we have like, see, what do you think, Jeremy? What do you think about Robbie Lenormand's situation at Atletico de Madrid? And
Yeah,
what do you think about his first season with Atletico de Madrid?
yeah, Atleti should keep him. But his role next season is going to be very interesting. I mean, as Ricky said, you don't buy a player who a 26-year-old center back. You don't pay a club record fee for a defender just to see him get worse. And it is unmistakable that the head injury conditioned his season. Those first 6 weeks before Aurelien Tchouameni tried to behead him, basically at the end of the derby, those first 6 weeks were fantastic. He looked like the leader this defense had been missing. But he comes back and he looks like, I don't want to say a totally different defender. I mean, the book on Lenormand has never been, he's really strong out of possession. That's never ever been him. So if you were expecting that, if Atletico were expecting that, why buy him? The book on Lenormand is that he's very good in possession. He's very good winning ground duels, aerial duels, ball carrying, sharp passes in from the defensive third into the midfield third. So I would keep him, but he's probably going to have to either continue adjusting to a left center back role. If Coutinho Romero is the one who comes in, Lenormand's going to have to start playing on the left more, or he's going to have to be a squad player, which will hurt his chances to play for Spain. Luis de la Fuente really likes him. He's the only Atletico player he routinely calls up. So we'll see. But I mean, I still like Lenormand. I rated him at Real Sociedad. I know that he's been a bit polarizing, but I still like him. I think he needs a full, normal preseason to fully recover from his injuries and just get up to speed. I think that chance was kind of stolen from him with the head injury.
For sure, for sure. What do you think, in case like if that unfortunate injury wouldn't have happened to Robin Lenormand, like do you think like he'll be a different player for us right at the moment?
That's an interesting question because when he came in at the start of the season, he was really, really good. I think especially because of the fact that he was in a three-man backline where you could get to see a lot of his best qualities in terms of being aggressive, in terms of ball carrying, in terms of all of these other attributes that he had. Because when you're in a three-man backline, anytime you go forward, you have two people covering for you. In a two-man backline, it's not really the same because it's like as even him and at his very best can't cover the entire pitch, right? So you don't see a lot of his best traits in a back four, despite the fact that he has been decent in a back four. So I think even without the head injury, there's a question mark on that aspect. And he's never been better at left centre back compared to right centre back, even in Real Sociedad. So that's things to consider. I think he was bought with the understanding that we were going to do a back three, in the season, and it was changed. So I'm not sure if the head injury was the 100% the reason. I think is a heavy part of it. I think it's like 80-90% the reason why we see a different Lenormand. But formation does kind of mess with it a little bit. And then in terms of, I don't know if you all noticed, but I was never a fan of Lenormand before he came to Atletico. I didn't like him in Real Sociedad. I think he was one of those players who was really, really good as a centre back, but he would do something I hated the most in centre backs, which is lose concentration.
He has a certain tendency to being clumsy, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain air of clumsiness around him
that I didn't enjoy. I think around 80 to 85 minutes, you'd see him and you'd be like, you're not sure if Real Sociedad is going to concede or not in this moment because of the fact that they had that same clumsiness that you mentioned. I think the Sevilla game, both of them actually. No, not both of them. That's wrong because he wasn't here for the first one. The second one, where we were at Sevilla, where you saw Quique Salas just make a run right past them and he just didn't react. And I was like, what is that? Right? Because, but I don't want to focus on his individual problems. I just want to say it's like in terms of his overall season, he has been good. I can't really say otherwise in terms of that. There have been bad moments, but there's been very good moments as well. I've enjoyed aerially. There's not much I can really deny from Lamond. I think he could have scored more goals, but he got his goal. He did well. Would I keep or sell him? There's a there's an argument to be made to sell him, but I don't think it makes sense to sell him considering his age, considering what we put down for him. It would make more sense to try and like get a preseason and get him to proper full strength. See what you can do in terms of the overall capabilities. I think he's a good enough player to give him that at bare minimum, if not more. So I would keep him.
I mean, like you guys should not forget, like he plays piano pretty good as well. So yeah, look on the bright side as
Ah,
well.
yeah.
But on the next one, so we're gonna go with our literally comandante, which is Jose Maria Jimenez, who took the mental from Diego Dean. He's, I think, like without a doubt, like he's the leader of the Atleti defense right now. But again, the thing is, and again, this season, Jimenez had a pretty good season with us. I mean, like this is the first time I've seen Jimenez continuing for so long without any injury. And unfortunately, like then again, Club World Cup happened, and then he got injured, which eventually happened. But again, Jimenez is getting old as well, and like we need to, I guess, find a replacement for him as well as a number two. What do you guys think about Jimenez, or whether like we should keep him or sell him at the moment, which with so many movements going on around the club? Yeah, go on, Ricky.
I'm going to be very, very hard on Jimenez, and the Ricky of the past would hate the Ricky of the present saying this, but it's just you. You started with he's the leader of the defense. The question would be, is he? Because you have to be on the field to be the leader, and he just hasn't been there enough. I mean, getting over your constant injury trend to getting injured is one thing, but now that he isn't injured, he's not playing either. He hasn't even reached the highest amount of games, which is a very modest 28 Liga games, I think, per season. He stopped at 27. So he's definitely not uh, one of the best qualities for a player to have is availability, and he's lacked that availability all throughout his career. And now that he's had the availability, he just doesn't seem to have the form to be there anymore. He hasn't looked good, and despite having a player that is a symbol in Atlético Madrid and that will cherish his time here when he's gone away, I'm starting to think that he's run the course of his time at Atletico. I would not push for a sell, but I would definitely welcome him to move on and look for greener fields to play on, because he seems to have run the course of his career naturally. That he's been his entire career, except for one season in Danubio, his entire career has been as an Atletico player. He's as close as a foreign player can get to being a one club man player. It's very sad to think that Jimenez's time, as legendary as it's been, has come to an end. But it does seem, I think it's even a clearer case than Angel Correa that he should move on.
What do you think, Jeremy, about the Jimenez situation? I mean, Ricky has been completely harsh on him. Like he's like straight up, like yeah, send him back to Uruguay. What do you think about?
If he owed me money.
Oh man, yeah, man. I would sell. I would sell Josema. I know he's the third captain. He's one of the leaders. But to Ricky's point, you have to be on the pitch to be a leader. Someone there was a reporter at the Club World Cup who asked him about this. Like, you know, you've played like X amount of minutes. You're recognized as Atletico's defensive leader, but you've only played X amount of minutes. And he got very touchy about that. Understandably, like the injuries, I'm sure have frustrated him more than anybody. The fans, El Cholo, anybody. Because at his peak, and he was 24, 25, 26, he was one of the best center backs in the world. I believe that. We just never saw it because he was always injured. and at crucial times too. It is kind of bitterly ironic that he avoids injury for pretty much the entire season until the Club World Cup. He plays 45 minutes at the Club World Cup and is unavailable for the Botafogo game. So would he have made a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But the larger overall point is that he's just never healthy and he's only getting older. And he has 3 years left on his contract. I think it was a pretty destructive decision to extend Josema. This was, I think, the end of 2023 when they signed the renewal to 2028. That was a really poor decision, I think, from the club. And, you know, if the club is going to bring in 2 starting center backs this summer, excuse me, if they're going to bring in 2 starting center backs this summer that I think that they need, Josema's going to have to leave. I think it's less than 50% that he goes, but that contract is only going to get worse and he's only going to get older. And Simeone, I think, he still likes him, but I think he's less enamored with him than he was even a year ago. Perhaps paving the way for a star signing on the level of Cuti Romero, I don't know. But yeah, Josema is kind of a clear case of sell to me. I don't know. I love the guy, but I think there were opportunities in the past to sell him, and I understood the reason why they didn't, but now you can't really escape it.
What about you, Saint Keeks? I'm like, you love Uruguay players, so like I think this is a very, very harsh decision for you.
Yeah.
What do you think of this one?
Well, we've got Santi Mourinho in the wings as well. Can't forget that. We got him waiting.
We'll see if we even decide to. To me, that should have been the first signing before Longley and Musso and anybody. But we'll anyway. Josema is, I don't know, but it's kind of it's hard to follow up after those evaluations because it's unfortunately very true. I think the only other
Talk
season
with
we've
your brain,
finished-
not with your heart.
I can't. I can't. Josema's been. I love when I play football. I love playing centre back myself, so I love getting into those things. And I get to see players like Jimenez and Godin was kind of a lot of my inspiration in terms of what I enjoy. I want to look at players like that and be like, I wonder how does he ping the ball like that? How does he manage to anticipate these things and stuff like that? So it's kind of hard to do that for Josema. Josema is one of my favorite players. I especially like Uruguay, as you mentioned. Uruguay, I think, because Trinidad is not a very good team, like at all. I very rarely do I get to see them on a national stage, so I tend to try and follow Uruguay whenever I can. So Jimenez is one of my more watched players, and to see Jimenez in this situation where he hasn't really been injured this season. He had maybe 1 or 2 injuries. Once somewhere in the mid-season where it wasn't particularly crucial, and then this again in the Club World Cup when we actually needed him. But he hasn't really had the same amount of minutes as you wanted. Like he's managed to lose a lot of minutes to even Longley and Witzel a little bit. It's a strange feeling, I think, overall, because he's been, for years, a stalwart in the backline when he is available. And that's kind of the fact that he's such a good player and there's an asterisk on him is something that you kind of have to. Do you bite the bullet with that? Are you going to willing to accept that into the new future of Atletico? That's really the question. I personally would like to keep him for sentimentality and bias, and I think he could get that same world-class level again. But I think, as both of them mentioned, is the availability is too much of a factor. The one season where he's been available, he hasn't been at his best, and it's a strange feeling to be honest. I don't know. We'll see. I hope
Well, let's
Mourinho
move
comes.
sorry, you're continuing. Yeah.
No,
I
that's
thought
all.
Okay, so yeah, let's continue with the left center back position. So like past summer, like we were linked with David Hansko, and then we were linked with another players as well, Piero Incapie, and all of those, and then we ended up signing Longley, which I think like would really like ruin the mood of most of the
We
Atleti
all
fans.
love Longley, folks, don't we?
Oh yeah.
Which ruined the mood of Atleti fans. And then again, so this season, like Longley was a second signing after Juan Musa for the Club World Cup as well. So and like now we signed him for 3 years. Especially the fact that like like I think like he's gonna be over 30. I think like right now he's 30 right now. Like we're signing a player who's in 30s for 3 years and for a main position which we really need to invest a left centre back. after the Hermoso's departure. I mean, I literally know the answer of this one, to be honest, from all three of you. But I'll still ask Ricky. What do you think about Longley? I mean, like, he just signed a new contract. Would you still sell him if a good offer
Langlais,
arises?
Langlais is the most what the fuck signing for 2 years in a row. I mean, you bring him on a loan deal, saying, seriously, can't you get something better in the market? Isn't there anything available that you can bring that is an upgrade? And you say, okay, so let's see him playing. And surprisingly, he's better than you expect. Is he up to what you need? No, but he's better than what you expected from Langlais. So after that, it's like, thank you for your service. You've done a decent job. Goodbye, just to see him come back with a 3-year deal under his arm. And you say, the same 3-year deal you've denied to Godin or to Gabi, for example. And you're saying, okay, so you wouldn't do this for club legends, but this guy comes on a 1-year loan deal and gets a long-term signing um, deal afterwards. So it's like, seriously, what the fuck? It's like, I can't say anything else about this signing. It's the most baffling signing and re-signing situation I've seen in the team in a long time. And Atleti is an expert in doing this weird stuff with signing players way past their prime. And I'm sure we're going to get the very best of washed up Langlais in the following seasons, because now we're stuck with him.
But I mean, like, he's still a good
Oh,
squad player. He can be a good squad player. Let's say, like, if we, like, let's say, if Atleti go berserk in the summer transfer window, we end up having Nkapie for the left at the back position. He can be a good squad player for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's Atleti. I can't really expect them to go for Nkapie and Romero in the same window.
I don't know, but we've already seen what it means to um, overdo your welcome in the case of Witzel or in the case of Piricueta. They haven't they haven't gone from playing decently to playing even better. They've gone from playing decently to showing their age because it's normal. And we're doing this again with a third player that hasn't proven as much as Piricueta or especially Axel Witzel. I just don't understand this signing at all. So yeah, sell him tomorrow for whatever.
I mean, Ricky, you're in Spain. Maybe you can get in contact with Carlos Buquero and ask him, like, yo,
yeah.
what are you doing? What are you doing with the club? But
Exactly.
Jeremy, what do you think about Clement Longley's situation? I mean, like in the previous episode, like which we did together as well, I think half of our episode was only for Longley. But still, what do you think about Longley?
Jesus Christ. Uh, he's the French Hermoso, and I watched Mario Hermoso for 5 years. There were highs, there were lows, but now we have this dude, and it's too late to do anything about it now. We've signed him to a 3-year contract. Which, yeah, again, the purpose of that contract length is to spread out his wages. And it was pitched to him as, listen, you need to secure a free transfer out of Barcelona. You need to secure a contract termination, and you need to take like a 50% pay cut. And he did do that. He met the club's requirements. So
Yeah,
he's going to be a squad
like
player.
maybe Atleti was trying to, like, like offload him, like, like they were trying to be like nice, like, oh, like, oh, we can't really sign him, like, because, like, like you have a contract with Barcelona. He's like, oh, hang on, like, I can terminate it. And then Atleti was like, oh, hang on, like, you have to, like, deal with the situation as well. And then he was like, there you go, I've done it as well. And now Atleti is like, what the hell, what the fuck should we do? And then
Yeah.
they're like,
What we do is sign a starter because he's not a starter. I mean, Lenglet's virtues are his ball playing, his passing. Uh, a lot of the elite clubs now have one left-footed center back who can play well on the ball and a right-footed center back who can play well on the ball. Lenglet he's fine at that. He's fine to good at that, but his positional mistakes, he's got the bozo gene in him. Like, you can't give him a 3-year contract, man. It's terrible squad building, but it's done. Hopefully there is a scenario where Simeone, as great a coach as he is, can find a way to shield him. The imminent arrival, it would appear, of Johnny Cardoso, I think, will have a particularly beneficial effect on a defender like Lenglet, who is just terrible when he's not in possession, like worse than Hermoso when he's not in possession. That's hard to do. Hermoso is not good when he didn't have the ball. So, oh well, it's not at all what I would have done, but I'm not surprised that Atletico did it. No, I think he's frozen.
I'm frozen.
No,
I thought you were.
No.
You were either
Cousin-
sitting very still or you were frozen.
Oh no, I was just sitting very still. I was just trying to listen.
Wow, you fooled me.
Yeah. As you were saying, Alex.
You were thinking about the best game Langley has played.
Ooh, wow.
He was out
The
of
best
attitude.
ever centre back in Atletico's history. Long way.
It was in the cup, the game in which he scored the equalizer. I can't remember against whom. It was the game where DePaul was captain.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, like
Oh.
I think he's got the most goals for Atleti as a defender after all the
Yeah.
defenders.
That is
Don't-
one
don't-
bonus point in his favor. He scored 3 goals
Don't
this year.
forget, I mean, Saint Keith has a poster of Longley in his bed alongside Javi
Please,
Galan.
Don't lie on
Like,
me.
he
Don't
has-
lie on
he
my
has-
name.
But yeah, Saint Keith, yeah, go on with your Longley views. Make it short, though, because we've talked about it a lot.
Okay, I'll just keep it factual. Longley has been a good player in comparison to a lot of what people expected from him. And I think that's about where my compliments kind of end. I think when you look at our terrible month of March, you look at that month and you say, okay, cool, let's analyze these games. And you look and you see a constant red spot right in Atletico's defense, and it's like there's a consistent theme and a consistent player there that is causing us problems. To me, I feel like we got rid of him also under the understanding that despite the fact that he is becoming a club captain, despite the fact that he has been charismatic and you enjoy the bizarre personality of him also, it was an understanding that, okay, look, we can improve on your position, and that is the goal. When I thought we were going to sign Hanko, we didn't sign Hanko. We signed it Longley. I felt like I was in a loop. I don't know what that was about. He is on a 3-year deal. I don't know what that's about. My only hope is Atletico is very, very good at making very shady deals, right? When it comes to players like Jota, who I didn't know who was at Atletico. So, like, until somebody reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, we did sign Jota. And then he immediately left afterwards. When you talk about Chelsea Martin, like there's so many players you could name that is just like we signed them, sold them, something happened along the way. I'm hoping that's a situation here again. I don't know what you could really ask about Longley that's particularly good, because we got Longley, and in doing so, we give Barcelona a sizable chunk of their financial fair play in terms of wages off their books. If anything, this is benefiting Barca more so than Atletico. I don't know what this is about.
Maybe I don't know. Like I feel like maybe it's one of those, like, like for example, like we signed Soyuncu for free, and then we sold Soyuncu for like around 7 to 10 million. I think it can be one of those. Maybe we can sell him next summer with like from like 5 to 10 million, like make money out of it. Maybe I have no idea. Like maybe it can happen, or maybe I'm just being delusional. But anyway. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about these guys in a group actually. So Azpilicueta and Witsel, they're running out of contracts. I think Witsel really surprised me, like when he came at the club, and he actually performed pretty good as well. Like just a few seasons ago, he was the starter for us. He was our main centre back, playing alongside Jimenez. And Azpilicueta, I think like we couldn't really like see much of him, but still like even those like 10-20 minutes, I think like he did give his best. And not to forget, like he literally scored goal of the season this season against, I think it was against Osasuna itself only, right? Or like was it
Espanyol.
against Espanyol? Yeah. Espanyol, yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Long late penalty. Yeah, that's reminded me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what do you guys think about Azpilicueta and Witsel's time at Atletico Madrid, since they're already leaving?
Shouldn't we also package Reinildo into this like a
Yeah,
golden
yeah,
deal?
sure.
Witsel and Piricueta run out of a contract in literally 2 days, and Reinildo, for whatever weird reason, has an extra month on his contract, so he runs out of a contract right when Atleti are expected to go back. So you can always expect one of those weird Atleti extensions that Thiago, for example, got in the middle of the summer with no announcement whatsoever. You just see him in training gear, and you say, "Well, I guess he's staying." So it's like they're
Classic
playing
Athletic.
the long game with Reinildo, maybe seeing what they can sign, and if they can't settle with anything better, maybe extend Reinildo an extra season. Um, I think that in the three cases, I have appreciation for their professionalism, for being good squad players, but I think that the team needs to get younger at every position, and the defense is one of the key positions where Atlético de Madrid is growing super old, and it's starting to have a significant impact on long term results. Those um, global stats I think Keeps was talking about. I think that when you see the bigger picture, it just makes sense to rejuvenate the team, and starting with moving on from the three players and giving them like the Atletico season ticket card, and telling them come back to visit whenever you want to, um, and let them walk into the sunset or pursue MLS careers or whatever it comes next in their life. But yes, time well served. Very decent squad players. They will be remembered because they were part of good seasons. But I think their time here is
For sure. I mean, like Renildo, I think like he has a clause in his contract. Like maybe he has to, like like do the number of games for us in the season, and like if he completes it, and then like he gets automatically like renewed. I think that's what about Renildo is. I don't know like if it's true or not, because again like he's getting benched by Javi Galan, which is a really bizarre thing. Like how can someone get benched by Javi Galan? But
He can.
Anyway, so this one I'm gonna start with saying Keeks with you actually about
Oh,
these three
okay.
guys he mentioned, which is again so Witzel, Aspilicueta, and Ronaldo. What do you think about these three guys? And like I think like it's pretty over their time at the club. So how would you rate their playing time in Atletico de Madrid?
I think it was good. I think Witzel's first season was strange because the first part of the season was really good, and then the last part of the first season was awful, and then the second season was just great. But all three of them have been good servants of the club. I think there's not too many complaints that you can have with any of them. I think especially Ronaldo because of the big ACL injury that kind of like just changed who he was as a player afterwards. So before that, there were only really complaints about his on the ball passing. There was nothing else. He was just like he was imperial at what he was doing. So it's that time. It's unfortunate. I like all three of those players, but their age or injuries or whatever it is that has come and manifested, it's a position that you can replace, and you can replace in terms of the squad, in terms of like at a very cheap level when you look at players like Mourinho who could come back for like 4 million. So you can get a very good level and a very cheap level to replace some of these players who come in. That's all I have to say on that.
What do you think, Jeremy, about all these three players? I mean, they were like one step away from old age home, actually, except Ronaldo, obviously.
Which, yeah, given how Reynoldo has looked in the last year or so, he's on his way there too, isn't he? I mean, I don't have a ton to say about them other than to St. Keeks' point, they have been very good servants. I with Witzel and Azpilicueta are examples of players where if we would have gotten them 5 years earlier, what we might have achieved, right? Aspi still had a bit left in the tank. His versatility, his leadership, both very important qualities to the last two Atletico teams, but just not at the elite level anymore. Very far from it. Like there was a reason Chelsea let him go on a free transfer. There was a reason that Borussia Dortmund didn't care to re-sign Witzel, who was in another positional reinvention, signed as a pivot, could not keep up with the demands of being a pivot at his age, turned into a pretty reliable wide center back in a pretty bad Atletico defense 2 seasons ago. I wish them both well. Don't have a bad word to say about either of them. Reynaldo's ACL injury just kind of destroyed him. And it's really unfortunate because I really loved watching him. He was a classic old school Cholismo type of defender, acquired for $3 million from Lille on a deadline day transfer. Great business.
But he was very he relied too much on his speed, and
He did.
that was faded with the injury.
Yep.
Mm.
And
I think he was like
robbed
one
him
of,
his
one of
most
the best.
characteristic.
One of the best signings we made in the winter transfer market. Like 3 million for Ronaldo was at that time was like amazing, literally like a steal. But anyway, we move on to Roberto Carlos of our team, Javi Galan. Guys, Ricky, I'll start with you only. I can see it in your face. You're gonna come up with something really, really harsh for Javi Galan.
No, I have. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about Javi Galan because I think um, he's just trying to perform at a level that he's not prepared to. I think he's a good player. He's just not on the right team. He's probably 100% starter for 16 La Liga teams, and it would be a no-brainer. But at that level, at the level that Atleti demand for that position, he's just one or two notches below the demands that you have, and he's about to enter his last season. So I think on his contract. So I think it makes perfect sense for both sides to part ways. I can see half a dozen teams with European competition aspirations that can want to sign Javi Galan, and I think it would be a fair deal and a good move for both sides, for Javi Galan's camp and for Atletico that really need to reinforce that position, get it younger as well. Javi Galan is a 30-year-old player, uh, and move on from this feeling that Atletico is just ill prepared on both sides of the ball. If Marco Llorente is not around or they need him somewhere else on the field, it would be playing Galan, and Molina has just not met the standard of Atleti's needs. And I think that we need to move on for the exact same reasons from both players. They just don't seem to be good enough.
With Matteo Ruggeri coming as well to Atleti Madrid, with the reports are saying
Yeah, of
Matteo
course.
Ruggeri is on his way to Atleti de Madrid. I think Javi Galan will again have that backup of a role in this team. And this season, Javi Galan literally had his like redemption arc, especially with that assist against Real Madrid.
But would you
Which
keep him as a sub, or would you move on and you would look for a second player that has that starting quality or that potential starting quality, even if he's a younger player?
I think with the Atleti plan right now, I think like Javi Galan is gonna be used as a sub. That's pretty much because I think Matteo Ruggeri will definitely start. Javi Galan will be used as a sub with his again last year on his contract as well. Renildo I think is gone, pretty much gone. So I mean like Javi Galan like 1 year on his contract as a backup is not really I won't really mind him as long as Matteo Ruggeri doesn't get injured or something. Then we're back to where we started. But again, Jeremy, what do you think about this Javi Galan situation?
I like Javi. I have a soft spot for him. You know, he's like 5'7" on a good day. He's got some bite to him. He's
5.7 or 5.27?
5. The point is, he's a little dude, you know, and he's out there. He's really trying his best. Like, I don't say this to demean him, but he's got some of the Cholismo attitude in him, and that's what I like about him. Is that he was on the discard pile. He was on the exit ramp out of Atletico last summer. He was going to go to Turkey or some shit, and he ends up staying and becoming our starting left back, which is a great redemption arc. Unfortunately, redemption arcs don't win you trophies. So a decision like signing Ruggeri, who does look like a pretty good pickup, that decision had to be made. The thing is, I doubt that Atletico are going to sign another left back. So I think there is a chance that Galan extends for a year and stays to spread out his salary. And I think he'd be amenable to that because he's playing in a good team and he's living in Madrid. It's a pretty good deal for a lot of players. I like Javi. I would be okay with him as a backup. And I also just doubt that the club is going to sign 2 left backs in one summer. That would be a level of squad planning that I'm not used to seeing here. I could be surprised, but I just don't really see it. So I like Galan, but he's obviously not a starter at this level. As Ricky said, he would start from the vast majority of the other teams in La Liga. Just we are one of the 4 he would not play at.
But again, I mean, like for example, like like in the reports are saying, like if we miss out on Coutinho signing, we're gonna go for Piero Hincapié. Piero Hincapié can play left back as well. So
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
like it's like should our like priority signing should be Hincapié instead of Romero? I
Maybe you
mean,
can make that argument.
And you know that Cholo wants to have the best players. So once he has the Hincapié, he's going to probably want to play him if he sees he's giving him a better playing situation than Ruggeri. So the one in danger there could be Ruggeri. So we could see a situation where Javi Galan is just asked to move on, despite not signing a specific replacement for him if Hincapié does make it into the team.
again, that's a big if. Big if. I mean, like we literally like seeing right now, Simeone literally liking every post of Coutinho on Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just bothering the
but-
shit out of him.
I'm sure he's
But,
calling him like 5 times a day.
Yeah, just like they did to Alvarez last summer. He really is this summer's Alvarez.
What do you think, say, Case, about the left back situation and Javi Galan situation?
He's been good despite the fact that I didn't expect him to stay. I thought he had a really good 6 months with Real Sociedad, and I thought they were going to trigger the decision to buy him. So I was a little surprised when they bought Javi Lopez, who has been kind of mediocre for them, as well as Sergio Gomez, who's also been kind of mediocre for them. So, I was surprised that he stayed. He's done decent. He has been kind of a weakness in our backline for a lot of the bigger games, and I think when you look at the games where you really wanted to have control in it, Galan has not really been the standout. Where it's like, oh, this is the guy I want in my starting 11. That hasn't been the case. I think if you want him as a sub, maybe there's an argument to be made that you could find somebody else, but I'm not expecting a lot of money coming out of Galan with his last year of a contract. He's had an okay season at Atletico, and I think everybody have seen his level at Atletico this season. So I'm not expecting much. So I'm just going to keep him because I don't expect a sale to happen, and I just think it's probably for the best to keep him. Did he like out? What is?
Seems to be.
I'm not sure where I left off, but he's been okay for us. I think you can have him as a sub. He's okay in the squad, but I don't see much sale that you could potentially have out of him. He's, as you mentioned, he's 30. He has a year left on his contract. I'm not sure what suitors are really going to go for him right now that could really spend that money. I think with the Riquelme sale to Betis, I don't think they're going to come back and expect any like movement for that. I'm not holding out, but I expect him to stay in the squad for the next season. So, yeah.
Let's move on to the midfielders right now, and let's start with the right hand side. Giuliano has been a surprise this season. I mean, like, I didn't really expect him to like literally like own that position in the right hand side of midfield for Atletico Madrid, and there were doubts. Obviously, we were having because of Riquelme, Lino. We were trying them on both the flanks, and then with Gallagher as well. The first few games it wasn't really working out, and then Giuliano came in, and then suddenly like we had that like 15 unbeaten streak in the season. I mean, Giuliano is definitely for the future, whether some people like it or not. Some people kept saying about nepotism and all of that stuff, but again, I mean, Giuliano gives all of it, to be honest, on the field, and he plays with that passion as well, like his father. Like he's literally, you can say, like mirror image of him playing in the field, whether it's like motivating the fans or whether I still remember the game against Bayer Leverkusen where he was Here it is, like to
Yeah.
the yeah, to the I forgot who was it, and then I mean it was like as soon as Incapi got the yellow, like I knew Giuliano will we're gonna like gonna get him the red card, and that eventually happened. And like Giuliano Simeone has been definitely a surprise for me this season, and I think without a doubt like that's a keep extend his contract, keep the clause 1 billion whatever Real Madrid or Barcelona do. But yeah, again, what do you guys think about Giuliano? We'll start with Ricky only.
Please give me more nepo babies like that. I mean, I cannot. I cannot get enough of Giuliano. I just love his drive, his attitude playing, how he resembles the values that the club is expecting from a homegrown player. And he's just a very very promising player. Has played way above my expectations on his first season. Has turned into a better player. Has started to appear for the Argentinian national team. I think it's just all good news, and we have a new Simeone. Beyond whatever time Simeone is going to be here, I can see his dad leaving the position sometime in the future, and Giuliano having cemented by right his position and his own career within the club, um, beyond being the son of or being that ball boy that we all remember in the pictures from 10 years ago. I love Giuliano, and I want him to stay 100%.
Some people might say like like he has a lot of room to improvement as well because especially on his first touch and some of his crossing as well. But I think like with time, like you can improve. Like he's young, he's gonna probably get better. But what do you think, Jeremy, about Giuliano Simeone?
Love him. Give him a long term extension. Keep him here. I really want to see him continue to grow and continue to evolve. I'm not entirely sure what his ceiling is, which is pretty exciting to think about. He's already debuted for the Argentina national team. He's already scored a goal for Argentina. It's been such a whirlwind season for him from not really being considered. He was on loan at Alaves last year and was pretty good. Cholo is keeping him in the squad just because he's his son, and it wasn't really the case at all. And that argument has gotten pretty tired. I do want to see Giuliano improve in some aspects next season. His ball control, his first touch. I want to see a few more goals out of him, but I love his determination, his passion, his energy, his work rate. He's a really strong athlete, really powerful player. And he's got some underrated creativity and technical ability as well. His connection with Julian Alvarez is exceptional, I think, and I really want to see us build on that next season. I would like to see the club buy. We've been linked with several dribbling wingers, quote unquote. I would like to see the club buy one so that Simeone Giuliano can have proper competition, because there was a point this season where he started 35 consecutive games, and that is a lot. So some better competition for him would be great, but he's awesome. Love him. Keep him here.
That probably goes to talk about Riquelme's season and how he's devolved instead of
Yeah.
evolved.
Major
As a
bummer.
player. Yeah.
True. I mean, sure. We'll definitely talk about Riquelme as well. But closing on in Saint Kitts, what do you think about Giuliano?
Uh, it's great. I watched him in Real Zaragoza, and I thought, hey, this guy's really interesting. I think he's one of those like his. I think his main problem in Zaragoza was always his inconsistent finishing, and yet whenever he did finish, he scored like one of the best goals of the season. I don't know what I was about, but I watched him and I thought, okay, well, maybe a year in La Liga, he'll be ready. And then that unfortunate injury with in Alaves, where in the preseason, that kind of just took out half of his season. But even after that, when he played against us in Atletico, he was amazing. When he played on the wings alongside Kike Garcia and Carlos Vicente in Alaves, it was all like it was for the first time me watching Alaves, they were actually playing good football. So that was nice to see. I didn't expect him to come into the season. I thought he needed one more year. So when he came in, I was like, oh, okay, so that's cool. And then to see what he did for us this season was a really big surprise. I didn't think he was this fast as well. I think him keeping up the pace with Nuno Mendes and should have got a red card, but but him keeping up the pace with Nuno Mendes of all players is, I think, it shows just how fast he is, even on the ball. So there are things that he needs to iron out that he will get better with, but I think if you look in terms of wingers, if you ignore players like Yamal and Rafinha, he's had a really strong debut season as a winger for us. And he's not necessarily a winger per se. That's not what he was brought up to be in the Atletico youth ranks. So this is really cool. I like him a lot. I want him to stay. I would like to see what he can do next season.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, I mean, like he definitely doesn't really have that much of a competition on the right hand side. Let's say
No,
we
not really.
sign, yeah, we sign someone like we sign a really world class right back. Then we do have a competition for him in Marcus Llorente. But yeah, that's not the case at the moment. We're going to move on to the center of the pitch, the main engine of the team. We're going to start off with, again, this is going to get interesting actually. Rodrigo De Paul. I think the club, I don't think the club wants to renew his contract, especially after the performance he had in the Club World Cup. And again, with 1 year left on his contract, I think, especially it's the World Cup year as well, I think he will definitely run out his contract with Atletico de Madrid. Now the thing is whether we should sell him, like because it's his last season with us, or we should just keep him and let him run out his contract. So like, what should be the position over here? And what do you guys think about DePaul at the moment?
Sell him or deport him or whatever. I cannot get rid of him soon enough. I mean, if there is any player that annoys me to the highest extent, it's Rodrigo. Rodrigo De Paul and his antics. I am so tired of him. St. Kitts was talking before about Molina and his performance post World Cup. If we take it back and we see the months before the World Cup, I have not seen a more hideous performance at some of the games that Rodrigo de Paul played in red and white in my life.
Louder for the people in the back.
Second division, 2 seasons. He's been a disgrace of a player sometimes. And the worst thing is that he has world star capacity. And we have seen him play at world star capacity. So that I don't give a fuck attitude that he brings to the table sometimes is just too much for me to stomach. I am more than tired of waiting for Rodrigo de Paul settling down and becoming a mature player. So for me, please sell him or give him just the Carta de Libertad. Let him walk away. I really cannot stomach him on the team at all. And I know that we're losing a fantastic player, but he's just fantastic sometimes when he wants to be. And he's not a leader, and he's not up to the position that he should be fulfilling on the team. And with that, I'm very sure they're going to re-sign him to a 3-year deal, and I'm going to be having to stomach the guy for the next 3 seasons, and he's going to self-call him an Atleti legend and all the rest because I'm just going to be damned with this situation. But I had to say it. I'm just getting it out of the system, guys. So forgive me for the rant.
Yeah, I mean, like you ranted so hard, like I could hear like police sirens actually in the background. But anyway, I mean, like Rodrigo De Paul, I think like he's the guy like who's. I think like if we look besides Julian Alvarez, I think like he's one of those creators in the midfield for us. And this is again, he's gonna. I think he's in his 30s right now. So I think this is a really like a really confused decision, I would say, for Atletico de Madrid, especially the fact that like Diego Simeone likes him as well, because again, I think Diego Simeone relies on him too much. He has defended him pretty much as well. He said like like we couldn't get Rodrigo De Paul the way he plays for Argentina, the way he plays for us, and then this season we had fans booing him, and then he had that amazing games with Atletico Madrid, and then again he's like coming back like going to that default settings. What do you think, Jeremy, about this De Paul situation?
I hope the club makes the right choice and sells him. Because that is the right choice. That's, I think, the only choice. You can't give him a 3-year contract because he'll be 34 years old when it's over. And you have made it a stated goal to get younger and rejuvenate the squad. It's the reason we didn't chase Andy Robertson when in any of the past 5 seasons, Atletico would have signed him yesterday. 100%. There is a stated goal, and you can question what the motivation is. The motivation is, raise the squad's value, get better results, so and Heel can sell their shares for as good a price as possible. You can't do that by giving players like Rodrigo de Paul a 3-year contract. He's been here 4 years, and Atletico have won zilch. And it's not all down to him specifically, but his inconsistency is maddening. When he wants to be, he is among the best midfielders in the world. It's usually every year when the calendar turns to April, and we're just about out of every competition. That's when DePaul really shines. And it's so frustrating because he's so talented.
That just reminds me of Sorloth, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about him. Another really polarizing player. DePaul's performances at the Club World Cup were disgraceful. And it just confirmed for me what has always been in the back of my mind, even over the last 18 months when he's been largely pretty consistent and pretty good, is that DePaul just can't bring it every game. He can't bring it every 3 days. A couple of his Argentina teammates can. Julian Alvarez can. That's not a problem for him. But it is a problem for DePaul, whose life outside of football, his extracurricular activities have generated headlines and it's called his professionalism into question. I cannot fathom him staying on a 3-year contract or becoming a captain. Like, oh my God, what are we doing here? And it's the kind of midfielder that I really love watching. I just don't want it to be him. Sell DePaul and bring Javi Guerra.
And he looks terrible in braids. I just had to say that.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You don't like the Sean DePaul cut?
This cornrow shit.
Do you wanna break the Argentina band boy though? You wanna break Argentina boy band?
I think it's a weird situation for me because I largely agree with everything that Jeremy and Ricky have said about DePaul. I think DePaul has been wildly inconsistent throughout his time in Atletico. When he's been really good, he's been one of the best midfielders in Europe. When he's been poor, he's been somebody I don't want to see. I just like it's dual like that two sets of state of being that I don't particularly like because it's almost never something in between where it's just like it should be a 7 out of 10 most days and then a 9 out of 10 on your good game and maybe a 6 or a 5 when it's bad. But it's always 5 or a 10. There's nothing in between, That's just kind of how DePaul is. And it's like when I look at the games where I really, really want him to play well, sometimes he performs, like in the Barcelona game this season where he played really, really well. And then when there are games where there are other games where I want him to play well, like in the Club World Cup, where he will cross the ball right out of the pitch. And I just have to say, okay, it's one of those days. You can't, the fact that you can't recover him in between the game in terms of form is also something I don't like. But I think the fact that it's a World Cup year, we're a year away from the club from the actual World Cup, and Argentina want to retain their status as the world champions. There's going to be a hope for a level of professionalism from DePaul, at least 1 year. I would like to see him extend 1 year and then we sell him next year. We probably can't get the same amount of money that you could get this year, but realistically,
No, you can't because his contract runs out. You can't his contract runs out. Like he has to leave for free.
Yeah, I mean if you extend him 1 year,
yeah,
I like that operation. That would be good for both sides because he's probably going to revalue during the World Cup, and I think that would be a smart operation. Yeah, I can see that happening.
If we do that, that would be great. I think it's the best situation for Atletico in the sense of we are like Lucero loves Guerra, like from the bottom of his heart, he loves him, and he's been hounding down that situation since last summer. And I think he wants him this summer, but I think there's a possibility of him staying 1 more year. If we do it in this formula, obviously we could get DePaul to leave and then bring in Guerra, who is also Barrios' good friend, which is a nice little thing to have as well. But I think he can bring enough for us to be a value in the squad. I hope he does not get back with Tini, because if he does, that's it. We're not getting anything out of DePaul this season. That's it.
Tini's getting a Grammy, but we're getting shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
he can write the breakup songs afterwards. But we're not getting anything good out of that.
hits after hits.